Group Senior Citizens League, payments are expected to be 8.7% higher, and that would translate into an average of $144 per month. Now, the typical benefit would then average about $1,800 a month, with payments starting in January. So let's take a look now at the cost of living adjustment and how it's fluctuated over the years. You can see the graph on your screen.
The good news is that the government has just confirmed when stimulus relief programs should be going out, and it's going to happen actually pretty soon. So you can be getting your stimulus payments sooner than anybody even thought. And here are several reasons why this is going to happen just for you. Well, this is what I'm talking about. The government has just confirmed stimulus relief programs, so Americans still have time to apply for a relief payment worth up to $1,000, and according to state officials, residents of New Mexico can send in their tax returns this year to claim extra relief money. So far, over 2 million rebates have been issued to New Mexicans. A total of $20 million had been budgeted for relief payments, and they have been distributed on a first income and first served basis. First come, first serve. First person to get stimulus keeps that stimulus. Now, what this means is people who already submitted their tax returns will get the rebates through direct deposit. State officials have even said that if your banking info has changed since you filed, you'll be receiving a paper check. Now, you'll be receiving a paper check if you're a New Mexico resident until November 2023. And now, this is going to be helping you with your information for the rebates. Saying currently there are two rebates New Mexico is distributing. The first rebate allowed married couples to file jointly, and head of households with incomes under 150 grand to receive $500. Single filers and married individuals filing separately with an income under 75 grand will get $250 flat. Now, the second rebate allows single filers and married individuals filing separately to receive a rebate worth $500. Joint filers and heads of households will get $1,000, and the days are ticking down until California's self-imposed deadline to send out the middle-class tax refund directly applies to people's bank accounts and mailboxes. By the end of the year, the Franchise Tax Board, the state agency tasked with distributing the inflation relief checks, had issued over 7 million direct payments to the people that received 9 million debit cards. Now, what this means is that the payments range from $200 to even $1,000, amounting to nearly $8 billion paid out so far. So the state estimates around 18 million payments will be issued January 14th, meaning approximately 2 million payments remain. And according to the Franchise Tax Board, everybody, the vast majority of the remaining payments will be issued as a debit card and mail. Most people expecting to have received the direct deposit should have already seen it reflect in their bank, but some returns will actually require additional review. Individual filers in Colorado will also receive a rebate of $750. So while joint filers receive $1,500, some people will be getting a little bit less because of, multiple things happening in Congress and a lot of discussions about this. As I was saying, at the most recent filing and meeting with the Fed officials, they said that a robust hiring season could keep inflation elevated and was a key reason why they expect that in order to raise it, it will be more than forecasted. The officials underscored that a slowdown in the rate hikes was not an indication of a weakening. This message reflected concern that Wall Street traders were too optimistic the Fed would soon suspend its rate hikes and even cut them later this year. Hello, I want to talk about stimulus payments and how important they are to help out you guys, and what President Biden's doing to actually do something about the fourth stimulus payment that he could actually send out sooner than we expect. Well, first of all, I can't believe this is happening. New data confirmed that more and more seniors are being pushed to poverty. It's not their fault, it's America's fault. It's the government's fault. It's actually Joe Biden's fault. Now, a terrible thing is happening to the seniors. So while overall 65% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, worse things are even happening. And it's according to the latest U.S. Census Bureau, which says that the older people living below the poverty line rose to 10%, up from 8%. And according to analysis by the National Council on Aging, the increase means that an additional 1 million older adults have fallen below the poverty threshold, bringing the total number of seniors in that unfortunate category to nearly 6 million. One expert even told CNBC that this increase shines a glaring spotlight on the fact that Social Security and Medicare, the bedrock of retirement security for so many, are not sufficient to lift all older adults above poverty. Also dismayed, not surprised, is Mary Johnson of the Senior Citizens League, a Washington-based advocacy group, calling for somebody to do something about this. She says that, in fact, the number of survey participants who say they've applied for SNAP over the past 12 months is 33% increasing from a year ago. That's not what we want to see in Congress. It's not what we want to see happening to American seniors. It's definitely not good for the people. And so, one thing is necessary, and that's stimulus. And as the Federal Reserve raises interest rates to tame inflation, it is running at its fastest pace in more than 40 years. Carrying a balance a month after month will soon even cost more money than it does now. Since most credit cards have a variable rate, there's a direct connection to the Fed's benchmark. As the federal rate rises, the prime rate does as well, and credit card rates follow suit. Annual percentage rates are currently 16% on average. Folks, I want to know your thoughts on this. Is President Biden doing all that it takes to send out the fourth stimulus payment, or do you believe he needs to do a better job on this? Tell me your thoughts in the comments. So guys, we have a ton of good news about the fourth stimulus check that I want you to know. Continue watching this video because you definitely don't want to miss out on this. The Labor Department has released a shocking announcement. The Biden administration is working with state governments to approve a new round of stimulus checks, and that's the news that we want to hear. Economists are pushing for at least $1,000 relief payments. President Biden has released a new announcement today. During a news conference, Biden said that the United States has never seen anything like Putin's tax on both food and gas. His remarks come after the Labor Department announced Friday that inflation has hit a new 4-decade high in May. The Labor Department said that CPI index, the consumer price index that is, a broad measure of the price of everyday goods, includes gas, groceries, and rent, it rose 8.6% in May from a year ago. Prices have jumped 1% in the 1-month period from April, and those figures are both higher than the 8.3% headline figure and 0.7 monthly gain forecast. It marks the fastest pace of inflation since December of 1981. The president said fighting inflation is his top economic priority, and Biden also said America can tackle inflation from a position of strength unlike any other country in the world, adding that every other country in the world is getting a big bite and a piece of inflation. Biden administration officials have called for lowering prescription costs, which he said would fundamentally affect the well-being of every family. The Labor Department said that price increases were widespread. Energy prices rose 3.9% in May from a previous month, and were up 3.4% from last year. Gas on average costs $48, 48% higher than it did a year ago. In all, fuel prices jumped 17% in May on a monthly basis, pushing the 1-year increase to a stunning 100%. In another worrisome sign, the shelter costs accelerated in May. It marked the fastest 1-month gain since 2004. On an annual basis, shelter costs have climbed 5.5%, the fastest since February 1991. Scorching hot inflation has created several financial pressures for most U.S. households, which are forced to pay more everyday necessities like food, gas, and rent. The burden is disproportionately borne by low-income Americans, which already stretched paychecks are heavily impacted by price fluctuations. Rising prices are eating away the strong wage gains that American workers have seen in recent months. The real average hourly earnings decreased by 0.6% in May from the previous month, as the inflation increase eroded from the 0.3% total wage gain. On an annual basis, real earnings actually dropped 3% in May. Rampant inflation has become a major political liability for Biden ahead of the midterm elections, in which Democrats are expected to lose their already thin majorities.
Gentleman from California.